people believe in what is being sold, because at the end of the day, what is being sold is health. What is being sold is mental clarity. What is being sold is community. And I'm like, how can we not get excited and get behind this?
That's why the industry is so phenomenal because of the people in it. And they really are committed to kind of the cause.
This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, hosted by Chrissy Van. Together, we're uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well. Brought to you by the Personal Training Institute. Learn how to train, gain, and retain clients. Visit bcpti.ca. On today's episode, we're welcoming someone who is no stranger to the fitness industry. Allison Flatley comes to us with 3 decades of experience. She's a REX Roundtable Chair and CEO of Allison Flatley Consulting, where she helps organizations with their strategy, business growth, and client engagement. At the time of recording, we're heading into a brand new year, which is an ideal time to refresh the mindset. In this episode, we'll learn about some of Allison's key strategies for career growth, the importance of mentorship, and learn about her initiative, the Iron Maidens, which provides an empowering place for women leaders to learn from each other and to focus on a growth mindset both professionally and personally. Before we get to it, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly. I'm your host, Chrissy Van, and this is ATFW.
Allison, I am so appreciative that you were able to offer some time and space for us today here at All Things Fitness and Wellness, because you have over 3 decades of experience and you're somebody that seems to really pride themselves on the sharing of knowledge. But before we learn more about where your career traveled, tell me a little bit about what sparked your interest in the fitness industry in the first place.
Thanks for the invitation, Chrissy. I always wanted to be in health, fitness, dental, medical, but I wasn't sure. And then I got to college and I met people that didn't have fitness or sport as part of their life. And it was shocking to me because I grew up in a household where doing something active was like brushing your teeth. So I was surprised to meet people that didn't know how to swim or didn't use physical activity for stress release. So I thought, I have to get involved in prevention. So that's where it all started, on a college campus. And from then on, trying to help people live a healthier, more full, exciting life.
Well, and I know that for many that work within the fitness industry, you are a familiar name. I know that you're really big on the speaker circuit, obviously, as well with Rex Roundtables. But for those that maybe aren't, I think what I found so fascinating about yourself is that through your career, you've really been in this intersection of healthcare and fitness. And really, this is the direction that the industry now seems to be embracing on a broader scale. So tell me a little bit about where your career journey took you and how it kind of evolved over time.
I tried to say yes often when I started out in my career, and it's something I recommend for young professionals. But I worked in a commercial club setting. I worked in a community setting. I worked for the American Red Cross, tried to expose myself to so many different settings early on. And what resonated with me was the corporate population, where you had a fixed population you were serving. So over time, you could see their success. You know, the business world has changed a lot. People don't stay with companies as long now as they did before. But working in that environment really charged me because it was about helping them live healthier lives. And I think the most exciting thing about medical and fitness and wellness is it's merging because, everyone's definition is different. And I think we spend a long time trying to define what is fitness, what is wellness, the 5 dimensions. And the reality is it's whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
And I think it's about living kind of your best life.
Well, and it's been so refreshing as well to see the narrative shifting, not just within the industry itself, but the conversation in our social platforms now. You're really seeing that focus happening where we know it's imperative for our social wellness. And let's not even get started about mental health because it's scientifically proven, and anyone that has walked in and found whatever movement resonates with them, generally the majority of the percentage is going to say that it has had a profound impact on their mental health. I also want to highlight what you said there at the very beginning because it's just such good advice, is the saying yes. That is so valuable, and I'm glad that you share that. I think even as we progress in our adult life, it's important to remind ourselves of that because I think the more we get set in the habitual behavior and the circuitry of our life, it can feel harder to have those yes moments. So there is value in that advice you share. What have been some of the most significant shifts that you've seen within the industry over the last couple of decades?
I would say one of the biggest shifts was technology and the adoption of technology. When I started in the fitness center, every member had an index card. Their name was on the top. You recorded their family's name, when you talked to them last, their last workout. So it was basically your member management system. And now we have these wonderful check-in software. We can easily set alerts for members. So it's really allowed the professional more time on personalizing because the technology kind of remembers the member. And so that to me was one of the biggest changes from a technology standpoint. I miss the days of the index card, but it's so easier now.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier, and I guess it's twofold depending on how you look at it. Obviously, technology is doing an incredible role creating these systems, and we've never had more data as well. Like, you actually get to tailor things so specifically to clients that walk in the door. But on the flip side, when you had index card systems, for example, there was probably a lot more face to face interaction with clients at that time, having that personal touch. So it really just shows technology set us up in a way. And especially now where we're seeing the shift in AI, where I think there's really exciting times ahead when it comes to personalization, as counterintuitive as that might feel. These tools can do a lot for us. What do you think's most effective in driving like business engagement and really engaging with clients as well as they come on board?
Yeah, I think from a business standpoint, you really have to know who your audience is and know that audience really, really well, and look to other businesses within your community that serve the same population or stretches your population a little bit. So I think partnerships are huge in the sense of growing your business and exponentially growing your business. Who can you partner with? Who's serving similar audiences? And how can you help each other?
Well, and I know that Rex Roundtable offers that hive mind to help bring a lot of these ideas to life, which we'll talk about more in a moment. But I think one of the things that's so important when we're coming up through the ranks, so to speak, is to find people that are looking to help you grow. And you really need to be in a growth mindset yourself to receive that. And I think when you put yourself in that position, generally those people tend to fall into your sphere. But how have mentors impacted you along your journey?
Yeah, I have had some wonderful mentors. I even have a group that we meet kind of quarterly, the two women that own the company I work for, Sue Liebenow and Sue Torak, who are long retired. We still get together on Zoom and just update each other, but they were tremendous mentors for me. And um, throughout my career, they were very good at kind of pushing you, kind of saying, you need to do this or try this, or you should try this board, apply for the board, where, I was a little hesitant, but with their little nudge, I got to do this. So I had some great mentors along the way, and I think it's really important for professionals to have a diverse group of mentors I've learned that over the years. You know, you need young mentors, you need older people, you need people that have maybe a legal background, that maybe have expertise in finance, or who you can call when you need something or you need help. So I think having a diverse network is critical.
And what do you kind of try and instill in those that perhaps you're mentoring? Because I'm sure you're somebody that a lot of people lean on when they're looking for support and advice.
Well, I mentioned say yes. I think young professionals have to throw themselves out there. They have to say yes. They have to have a lot of experience. And then the more experienced you get as a professional, I think it's really important to understand your strengths and kind of stay in your lane and build on those strengths. Where I find that more seasoned professionals, they've gotten the habit of saying yes so often that they forget to say no, that they spread themselves too thin.
True.
And I would say, especially as women, as maybe you're having a family or your family's growing, um, you have to reset your priorities. And I always say that you have to learn to juggle, because there's no such thing as balance in life. It's juggling. And what are the balls, or what are the items, the tasks you're going to juggle today? But then remember, you can always set down one of those balls. You can always set down one of those tasks, and you can always pick up another one. So I think it's just kind of mastering the juggling, because if you're looking for balance, you'll never find it. So yes, when you're a young professional, and no when you're seasoned, because stay what you're good at, build on what you're good at, and good things will happen.
Well, and you bring up such a good point too. As you elevate, it's really having trust in your team. If you are somebody that has grown to a point that you have a team with you, and finding the right people that can kind of run with it. I think gone are the days of the old mindsets when it comes to leadership, of that micromanagement and trying to hold on to everything. Because as you say, it's a juggle. And I don't know what juggler could pull off doing their own thing and then being like, hey, I'll take yours and I'll take yours, I'll take yours. At the end of the day, that's just going to end up a mess and really a recipe to burnout, which so many people experience.
Right. And I think with professionals, it's okay to say no. It's okay to focus on whatever it is you're doing now, and postpone maybe a new thing. So I think it's really up to the professional, and hopefully with a good mentor, to identify these situations and say, hey, let's take a look back at that situation, and could there have been a better way, or could you have partnered with somebody? So I'm a big fan of mentoring. I love mentoring. Watching people grow is so gratifying.
Definitely. Well, and I think you probably recognize those people that were so impactful for yourself, and then having the opportunity to pass on knowledge. I know that for yourself, I'm glad that one of your pieces of advice when you're professional is that you can say no, but you said yes to this podcast. And I'm ever more grateful for it, because I really appreciate the initiative that you have, the Iron Maidens. So I want you to speak to what that is. But as well, I know so many people are familiar with Rex Roundtables, but maybe just give an overview if there's anyone joining us that isn't quite familiar.
Absolutely. Rex Roundtable is a roundtable or mastermind. We are specific to the health and fitness industry. We've been around, and actually in 2024, we will celebrate 35 years, which is really
Congrats.
exciting. But through COVID, Eddie Talk, who is our CEO of Rex Roundtable, reached out and said, "Hey, can you help me?" Because one of the facilitators, Justin Tamsek, couldn't get back in the States to facilitate his roundtables. I said, I'd love to help. Clubs aren't as busy. I'm not as busy right now. I'd love to help. So then as I was working with Eddie, I thought through COVID, there was a group of women, leaders in the industry, who we organized a Zoom call. And we just every couple of months did a Zoom call. We said Women Who Rock was the title, and we just showed up with our glass of wine or our water and just caught up with each other and really was there for each other. And when I was helping Rex, I thought, we need to do a women's Rex roundtable. Because as you know, Chrissy, the energy in a room when it's all women is different when it's man and women. And so I threw it out there. We did an open call, and Eddie was like, sure, I'm game, let's try it. And we had 136 women show up to
Incredible.
the open call. And I teased Eddie that I bet you couldn't name 136 women in the industry. And it was wonderful. But after that open call, we got a core group of 10 women who we started within a couple of months. And this month, we actually celebrate our 1-year anniversary of meeting. And so we meet 3 times a year in person. And the group chooses the location. Typically, it might be at one of the hosts or the clubs that the women are from, or it might be, a place where we can learn. Our first meeting, we met at Cooper Clinic in Dallas. Great facility, great place to learn. So that was a wonderful opportunity. And then outside of the 3 times we're in person, we meet monthly on Zoom. So the agenda is driven by the roundtable, and we just go through anything to help each other grow, help each other learn. And it's a diverse group. We have someone in our 20s and someone in our 60s and everywhere in between. Most of them are either owners, operators, or kind of senior leaders in their organization. And we're just having a blast. It is so empowering to be around women who are there to help each other, but support each other grow in the industry.
Well, and undeniably, as you joked with him there, saying, 136 here, could you name that many in the industry? The face of the industry, I'm sure, has changed over the 3 decades that you've been there, and it's not unique to the fitness industry, but let's face it, women in leadership is not the majority. And I think it's important to support each other and help each other foster that growth. For yourselves, when you do gather, what are some of the common themes that come up when you have roundtables? Are there particular problem areas that you feel most people in leadership tend to struggle with or need help navigating through?
I actually also run a co-ed roundtable. And I will tell you, both of the roundtables have very similar questions. They have similar issues. Their agendas are similar. How they discuss those topics is more what's a little bit different, I would say. And I also, based on my experience in my roundtables, the women tend to talk more about kind of self-care and supporting themselves in other areas other than business, whether it's with children or relationships or working directly with their owner or operator. So it tends to be a little broader. But I will say they've been in existence longer than my co-ed roundtable. And I will tell you, over time, these relationships and that trust builds. So I suspect it will continue. But it's a great group. Both of them are wonderful groups. And I mean, everybody really wants people to succeed. I mean, there's enough business out there for all of us. And then the other unique thing about Rex, just to make sure to bring up, is it's never competitors. You never have competitors on a roundtable. So there isn't the fear of competition. And at REX, we've also recognized that the industry has changed.
Hmm.
So we have a roundtable for group fitness directors. We have a roundtable for personal training directors. We have a roundtable for sales and marketing. So it isn't just executives. It's for any leader who is really trying to build their business or build themselves professionally.
Oh, there can be so much benefit too from having safe spaces to talk about real challenges. And just like you said, it could be within business, but then also balancing those facets of life. Because in order to reach whatever version of success that you visualize for oneself, life doesn't stop at the same time. It's moving in tandem with you. And sometimes navigating those challenges is tough. How important is it to create that bubble of trust? Because people really, to make it work, I imagine, have to show up a little bit vulnerable.
Absolutely. You have to be committed. So you really, we do an extensive kind of interview process and an opportunity to really determine, are you committed and will you be committed to the group? And then, as the relationships develop, what people are willing to share and how willing are they to help. And that happens a little bit over time. But when you think about your network, I always ask people for this exercise. I say, you have a business success today. Who are the 3 people you're going to call and tell them about it and have them write it down? You have a business failure tomorrow, just a horrible business crisis. Who are you going to call? Write down 3 names. And there's a couple more examples. And then I say, okay, look at your list. Cross out your family members. Cross out mom, dad, spouses. And the reason you do that is they love you. They are biased from the beginning. And when most people do this exercise, their list gets really, really small. And that's where I say, okay, you got to build your network. You got to find and add names to your group at who you can reach out to and who can be that personal board of directors. So that's a long answer
I love a
for your
long answer. That's a great
question.
exercise.
Absolutely. And I also think, with that exercise, I've had people do it with their social media feeds, in the sense of looking how diverse your social media feeds. Where are you getting your information? Are you getting it from everyone your age? Are you getting it from people older, younger, fitter, less fit? Because that's really where you're going to get some incredible learnings.
Well, it really is taking self-reflection to a completely different level. And sometimes there's so much value in doing a tangible exercise like that too, because we can only change what we bring our awareness to. And if we're not taking the time to take a step back and almost do that self-audit, the growth is never going to come on the other side. So something as simple as taking people through that might give them that aha moment. This might be something that I should be participating in so that I can grow that network. Because I'm sure for you, over the course of 3 decades, how much has your network impacted you? Because your career didn't just stop in one destination. You've been on how many boards now? Like, it really seems to have been transformative for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then the uh, other recommendation I would have for leaders as you're building this board is really take time to create relationships with those people. And it doesn't always have to be business. Maybe when you are visiting a town or you're going to see a loved one, look who's in that area. Who can you reach out to? Maybe you reach out and have some coffee with them, or you want to come by and learn about their business or their club or their studio. So you can really kind of strengthen those partnerships and strengthen that network. I started to do that later in life. I wish I would have done that from the beginning, but I just didn't have the recommendation or the idea, and it kind of just came later. So I wish I would have done that from the beginning. But every time you go somewhere, look around, see who you can add to. Take the time out. An hour coffee can really help you.
Yeah, and I think you kind of speak to on a broader human existence level. At the end of the day, social connection's the name of the game. People like to feel seen, they like to feel heard, and there becomes this beautiful exchange when you actually take the time to do that. And I think now more than ever, after what we've been through the last couple of years, there's a whole new appreciation over the value of that. And again, I think the industry is in this really exciting space where it's moving into, it sounds bold to say, but this new frontier, because there has been this shift amongst members that are taking part. We do know that we still have a mass physical inactivity crisis, which there in turn creates a lot of opportunity, because this narrative shift that I think that is happening from the mental social wellness space is finally transcending, and people are really looking to take a step back and prioritize themselves. I mean, I know you were saying the corporate wellness space has been so fascinating for yourself to watch that grow. And I think there was just a survey that came out by GymPass, but it was talking about the fact that's one of the number one things that employees value if they're joining a company, is if their wellness is a consideration. And if you go back not that many years, I don't think that would have been at the top of the list. So it is exciting for professionals that are looking to make a significant impact in the industry now. Where do you feel their focus should be?
I think there's so much opportunity for everyone. I think the first thing I would recommend to everyone is really understand who you are, who you like to spend your time with, what are the clients you like to work with, and where are you most successful. And again, it's about that staying in the lane, but building upon that. I think when you know your audience and you know who you're serving, that's where the magic happens. That's where the reputations get built, because you are really good with serving kids or programming with kids, or you are really good with 50 plus, whatever it may be that people are interested in working with. So I think the industry will continue to grow. I think the industry will have very segmented specialties. I think the consumer will continue to go to multiple types of facilities. Maybe you go to a facility because you're going to strength train there, but you're going to go to another facility for their group class, or you might go to another facility because they offer saunas or wet areas, that type of thing. So I think there's enough space for everyone, but also knowing that the consumer is going to go to multiple places, that the professional has to recognize that and support that. Quick side story, but
Please.
I decided to train for a triathlon. So I belonged to kind of a big box gym, and I hired a triathlon coach, and I worked all summer, met 2-3 times a week. So I wasn't going to the big box club very often. And then the triathlon was over, and so my usage was starting to go up at the big box. And I remember checking in, and the front desk person says something about I wasn't working out enough, or my usage and I kind of was shocked. The individual just had no recognition that there are other things out there. And that just surprised me. That he went to immediately, I wasn't using the facility enough. And I think health and fitness people sometimes, we think if you don't get an hour workout, you're not doing enough. So I think we as health and fitness people have to recognize that for some people, walking on a treadmill for 10 minutes is a workout, and it's enough.
Number one, I also would have been surprised. I probably would have Yeah, that person more than likely, I hope, has been given the education to
Yes.
perhaps rephrase the response that goes with that because it's
Right.
exactly that. Like it's more than ever easier for consumers to partake in this buffet of choice. And truthfully, no matter where they're walking into, like that's a win for everyone because it's somebody that's taking the time to prioritize themselves. And their priorities of where they allocate that time may shift and pivot throughout the year. But number one, they're making the step. I am curious to know, was that your first triathlon and how did you feel? That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it was great. It was the first one I did. They canceled the water or the swim because the waves were too rough, and I thought, "Are you kidding me? I trained all summer for this." I was so
Oh, I
upset.
bet.
So I signed up the next week for the next triathlon, 1 week after it, just because I didn't feel like I had done it without doing the swim. And so I did it the next weekend. So it was wonderful. For many years, I chose a marathon every fall. And it was just to keep you kind of honest and training, and you had something every fall to look forward to. So I try and kind of identify something that, kind of keeps you moving and keeps you active was important to me.
I appreciate that so much. And I know I've said this on my podcast so many times, but honestly, Allison, when I have moved through and gotten to know this industry, it's what I've loved about it the most because almost always. Like, I truthfully think every interview that I have had, whether they're a high level exec, wherever they're at within the fitness industry, they still have a deep connection to movement. And it might be going out and doing the triathlon or their little run on the treadmill that they do every day. But every single person I have spoken to still places such high value on that element of their lives. And my previous background to this was in television news, and I interviewed a wide array of people. And one thing I can honestly say is not every executive would practice what they preached for the industry that they worked for. I encountered that a lot. There was a bit of a
Right.
misalignment where I'm like, this one through and through from the top down, people believe in what is being sold because at the end of the day, what is being sold is health. What is being sold is mental clarity. What is being sold is community. And I'm like, how can we not get excited and get behind this?
Exactly. That's why the industry is so phenomenal because of the people in it. And they, really are committed to kind of the cause and changing as you put it, the physical activity epidemic.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I always like to kind of round out the conversation with a little bit of reflection. And you have had a very successful career, and I'm sure will continue to propel to new and exciting places, especially as networks expand. And not only that, you're putting your spark in other people through your mentorship, which ultimately you get to be a part of seeing that flourish. But I'm curious, what have been some of the biggest challenges or obstacles, and what have you learned from them so that maybe we can kind of learn a lesson ourselves without doing it ourselves?
Right. I think one of the biggest lessons is um, how important it is to know your blind spots or know your weaknesses. Not because I think I grew up thinking you had to improve upon those. If you're not a writer, you probably that will always be your weakness. So who can you surround yourself with that can help in those areas? And so I think one of my biggest lessons is um, having people on my team or knowing who's on my team who can cover my blind spots. I'm a doer, I'm a go-getter, I jump in 2 feet and go for it. And I have learned over time that some people like to think about it. They like to consider angles. They don't like to jump in. And so I've learned, like with the roundtable, I send out the agenda a week ahead because some people need that time. They need to put things together where for me, you send it to me the day of, I'm good, jump in. So, I mean, just little things that I think So know your blind spots so you can find people that can complement you. And then I would say, build that network, find like-minded people that you can help and that can help you.
The blind spots is such valuable advice. And I would encourage people to even take it a step deeper. Number one, absolutely in business, find two trusted mentors or two people in your circle that are willing to be really honest with you. And if you are the person that is being asked for that feedback on the flip side, I love Brene Brown, where it's to be clear is kind. And I'm like, be honest with that individual. Obviously, don't be cruel if there is actual strong feedback that needs to come back, but that honesty is how we grow. And I think even in our personal lives, if you have two trusted people in your circle that you can sit down and get really honest, if you're ever looking for personal growth and ask them what your blind spots are as a human being, you will learn so much from yourself. You have to be in the right mindset, the right space, the right tone, the right people. Again, it really should be people that you have trust and honesty with, but it's so valuable to learn those aspects of ourselves because that is where the growth happens. And exactly as you alluded to there, Allison, it's not like you need to take that feedback and have this wholehearted shift where I'm going to be the expert in that. Then you just may know this isn't going to be my strength or skill set. So, how can I learn to either offload that to another individual, prioritize things in a different way, and then you get to grow faster? It's like a great path to acceleration.
Exactly. Well said. Absolutely.
Well, Allison, I so appreciate the fact that you've carved out space for us. I know at time that this is airing, we're going to be shifting into 2024. So I want to know, what are you most excited for as you're traveling into the new year, and what mindset are you aiming to enter the year with?
Ooh, good question, Christy. Great question. I typically choose a word for the year, and that word I kind of align my goals with. And for 2023, my word was joy. So just, in working and family, how do I incorporate more joy? Um, with business travel, how can you incorporate more joy? So it was kind of themed around joy. I will say I haven't selected my 2024 word yet, so I still need to do some hard planning and thinking about that. I'm not sure, but I know what I'm really excited for 2024 is my new roundtable. They're going to meet for the first time in March,
Awesome.
and the way the relationships deepen when you're together. It's great on Zoom, but when you're with each other, uh, doing activities and talking in a room face to face, that really grows. Um, I'm excited about 2024 because Rex is celebrating 35 years and we've got some exciting things coming. We're doing an event at URSA right before URSA in
Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles.
Yeah. March
Yeah, Los
6th to
Angeles.
8th, I believe.
Yes, March 5th. If you're in town, you'll have to join us. But we're doing a Rex event at the Grammy Museum. So we're
Oh,
real
very cool.
excited about that. And so we're going to tweak our logo a little bit and really celebrate our members who have been around for some 35 years. So that's really exciting.
Well, I absolutely love having a word of the year. I definitely think there's value in exercises like that. Ditch the resolutions. Statistically, they don't work anyways. I
Exactly.
love that you have a word. Mine is always I try and learn a new skill or hobby every
Okay.
year. My golf game did not improve, but good knows we tried. And we will keep trying because no one is great at things the first time they try them. But oh my gosh, there was a lot of yelling for. But
I'm a big golfer. I love to golf. And one of the main reasons I love to golf is it's so different than anything else I've ever done. you can't run, you can't go harder, you can't go, more intense. I mean, it's about relaxing
So
and
bench
letting the
pressing my
swing.
driver is where it went bad. No, no, honestly, Allison, I appreciate the work that you're doing to help foster so much growth in the industry in the years to come through the people that you interact with. And personally as well, we know that, women in leadership is still the minority, and the fact that you're gathering together to help everybody grow, to learn from each other, and really ditching this thought process that somehow followed women for so long, that we're pit against each other. Anyone that has sat in a room like what you cultivate can attest to the fact that it is not like that in the slightest. I think there is such tremendous energy that happens when a group of women come together to help each other grow, to help learn. So thank you for the work that you do. And I hope that you have a very joyful rest of 2023.
Thank you, Chrissy, and enjoy the holidays.
You've just listened to the All Things Fitness and Wellness podcast, hosted by Chrissy Van. This episode was brought to you by Fitness World, your fitness, your way. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry insiders and influencers. Together, we're on a mission for everyone to live a life fit and well.